Hey, what's happening?
What's going on, man?
Not too
Woo,
much, man. Back at it.
back at it, man. It look, I'm looking now. I'm like, oh, it was a little action this afternoon, huh?
A
Oh man,
little something popped off a little bit. We had a little break
oh,
out there later in the day.
yeah, I see, man. Broke up
I,
oh,
and I
almost
mean,
toe
really,
tapped one of my levels there.
it was all triggered on a failed breakdown. I'll get this little white out here, but this whole move was triggered there. So, I mean, we've been going down for days and days and days. So we've been due for a little pop here. So it's not shocking that we're starting to get that now at this point. We'll probably see a little bit of a recovery. I don't know if the Bears are completely done yet, but not like I said, not surprising that we're getting a little pop up here. So um, I think today we're gonna look at some swing trading options, some ways that we can use our zones. To help us with swing trading. I know a lot of people don't have the time to actually be day traders, so some of the feedback we got, um, you know, maybe we could show how some of these strategies will work for swing traders and folks that don't have as much time. So I think let's go ahead and let's dive into that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yes.
All right. So this first chart that I'm showing here, this is already marked up, and I went through this last night, and we actually this is on the healthcare sector, and there was actually a winner on this right away. So I want to show this one today, and how I found these zones and what I actually did with these things. So I'm gonna go back here and we'll kind of have a semi-naked chart. I did want to put that daily level here. Now, what I look for here, I got one on the daily chart, and I was just looking for like double tops, the simple stuff that we're looking for in like the 2 hour and the 30-minute that we do for our day trading levels. I simply just expanded this out and made the time frame different. And so I made it into a daily chart, and then we're going to use 1 hour candles instead of 1 minute to find our actual zones for these things. So let's look at how we do that. So we have our daily level here set at 145.16. So then we're going to drill down just a little bit, and we'll come into this hourly chart here. And so for this, what I'm looking for, all of those different overlapping candles that we have that are around this area, we can actually turn those into our zones rather than using the 1 minute. So there it is. All right. So this would have been Friday's afternoon's close right there. So you can see we had a lot of chopping candles right here that were overlapping. So we could go just like this here. And then boom, we have a zone now that's set on this. So what we're looking for then, same thing that I look for on the 1 minute, we look for the break, and then we would use the bottom of our zone as a stop, and then we would use the top of our zone. Let's mess this up here. It won't go all the way down in that. So this is where we opened, came up right through right away, and then we had this little area here, and so this is where our stop would have been right below this 144.14. Then if you take 2 to 1 on that, so let's go 145.14 minus 144.14. That gives us $1 almost exactly. Actually, it does give us $1 exactly. Multiply that by $2. So we'd want $2 on top of that, and that's where we would go then for our target. And look where this sucker went. I mean, it literally went right to that area. Maybe it went 16 cents above it, but I mean, it went right to it. And this is the same thing that we do on the 1 minutes, with our day trading levels. And you can do this on the swing trading chart as well, with these little bit further out levels that we're using here. So let's do another naked one here. So let's look at where this thing could go eventually. Even though this would already been a win, had you entered here, it went up, you would have took your 2 to 1, took your profit. The next little area that we'd be interested in would be this little high here. And so then once again, we'd look for a bunch of overlapping candles, and we have that right around there. Bam. And we'll just simply stretch that out. And so this would be the next zone that we'd be looking at. So, if it comes up into this little area here, you're going to start to get some sellers that come in, because look how many times the sellers have came in around that area. So what we would be looking for on this thing is either A, where it would pop up above this 150.32, chop around a wee little bit, and then start to fall back down, and we could do some sort of short trade with this. Or B, it comes up above the 150.33, hangs out above this, and we do the same exact thing here at the bottom. So we would use this bottom of the zone as our stop. We'd take 2 to 1 on top of this 150.30. So let's just figure out the math again one time. So 150.30 minus the bottom of the zone, which is 48.94. So that gives us $1.36. We'll multiply that by 2. So $2.72 is what we'd be looking for. So we'll add that to our 150.33. And so then our ultimate target then on this one would be right around 153.05. And that would give us 2 to 1 on that. Now, if we're getting 2 to 1 on each trade, we really only have to be right about 33% of the time. You don't even have to be right over half the time, and you're still going to be a profitable trader. So 2 to 1s, I think, are very, very reasonable to get on swing trades. On my daily trades, I usually look for 1.4. I don't quite go to the 2 to 1, just because the ranges are a little bit smaller. But when we're working with these larger levels on the dailies and the hourlies, I think we can get away with that a little bit more. So let's just pop back a little bit. This is the original chart that I had here, so it should line up. So one more level. Let's say this thing falls off, and let's look at this 143.37. What we would do with that zone. So that would be down here at the bottom of this. So we'll make this a red guy. And then we would take, I would probably go this full zone for this one. And so then it would be the same thing again. It starts to break down here. And we're holding below that. Once again, we would take 2 to 1 from this zone difference. So you would take your 145.16 minus your 143.41. So you get about $1.75 in this zone here. So multiply that by 2. We'd be looking at 350 down, which is going to take us really close to this breakout area. 143.41 minus. So, it would take us right into that next level that we'd be sort of interested in here. So if we wanted to set a zone on this breakout area for a retest, pretty easy. We look at here, we look at all of our overlapping candles on that high. And we go down, this one's very obvious where that would be. And then bam. And you could actually see this did work. Like if you did it, at the time that this all started to happen, you would get the breakout here. It starts to hang around and hold on. You get one more test into the zone, and then boom, you're coming back out. And that was an easy winner there on a retest play. So these things work on all time frames. You know what I'm saying? Like all these zones are going to work on everything that you do. It doesn't just have to be day trading. You can do it at all different time frames. Most of these trades this was probably a rarity just because we're getting a little bit of a short squeeze in the market in general. But most of these things will probably take a few days to work out. They're not going to work out one day like this one did. You want to look at one more maybe? Let's see. I'll just take a blind one. I don't even know.
Yeah, one more.
So this would be the financial sector. So yesterday when I looked at this, there's a double top here on our daily. We have it from March 10th and then March 14th on the Friday. So we could see there was a little bit of area of interest here. So what I did, same thing. We're on the XLF. And let's go to daily. Let's just set all these out. So it's clean. And then now we see we got our double top here. This is what we were looking at. So we'll put our first line there. It's a green zone. So we'll put green. And then we'll zip back into our hourly. And So for this one, to me, it looks like it would be right in this little area here. We got these overlaps. This would be my zone that I would have set up on this. Get it right. Okay, click right. Bam, bam. And we stretch her across. So I don't think this one would have hit yet from the looks of it. Just eyeballing it. No, it would not have. So this would be a good one. We can kind of trace this one for the next few days and see what happens with it. We'll actually set up the whole trade right now. How about that? We'll put a little line right here. We'll pretend it's our stop. Make it orange just to not confuse our red levels. And then we're going to be looking at 48.61 minus 47.98. So you get about 63 cents. That's what you're looking at for this zone here, multiplied by 2. So it'd be $1.26. So we'd want to add $1.26 to 48.61. I'm doing this by a calculator right now by hand. Usually I have a program that does this automatically for me while I trade, but I'm doing it by hand right now. So that would put us at 49.87 would be our ultimate target here on this one. So we'll just make it a white line. And we'll leave this on here for the next few days and just see how this trade works out, basically. We'll come back to it tomorrow. But basically, this is it, man. It broke out. We're holding. Stop would be down below this 40, basically below 48. And then we're going to be looking almost for close to 50, essentially, around in that area. I like it. Maybe there's a little level here. You're probably going to get a little bit of heat at that point. But I like with kind of how the market's rolling right now with the short squeeze going on. This is probably a decent trade, honestly. I did not take this live. The other one I did just for shits and giggles. This one I did not, but we will track it. Let's see what happens with it for the next few days. And I can set up these zones over and over again for people just so you can see it. But it's really easy. It's not hard. We're looking for the level on a higher time frame on our daily. And then we zoom in a little bit to a lower time frame to actually find out where the consolidation areas were for that. And then that's how we get our stop and all the stuff set. And then our targets are set off of that as well. Some folks might argue that you could do this whole entire thing for a zone. I'm not opposed to that at all. That's kind of like your own personal preference, I guess. For me, I kind of want to keep it a little bit tighter. Your targets aren't as far then. And that's probably the day trader in me right there, honestly. And your stops aren't as far either. So it works out a little bit faster. But if you're going to sit in it for a couple extra days, you could use this entire zone, and then that would just make the target up, probably a little higher, around like 52, 51 and a half, something like that. Nothing wrong with that. The only thing I don't love that we are still in an overall down market. So you're going against the flow of everything right now. So it's probably not the best trade in the world to take, but you can do it. So, any questions on the zones, how we're setting them up, anything like that I'd missed at all?
So basically, what you're saying is you go to a bigger time frame. So typically, pull up the day chart, typically 2 hours, and kind of go from there, because that helps you find longer plays, right? Especially for the people who are trying to help.
Yep. Anybody that's looking to do swing trades, you're going to be wanting to trade off of these daily levels and maybe a 4 hour at most. And then we're drilling down to like the lowest level that I think is relevant to that sort of time frame, which is probably like a 1 hour. You could probably drill it down even more if you really wanted to, but I think a 1 hour suffices for this. So one other little trick that I like to do with these trades is I like to take an anchored VWAP. I'm going to show you what I do with this. And this kind of lets me know. I can find it. There it is. All right. This kind of lets me know if things are going my way or not. See, we got our breakout candle right here. happened at 9 o'clock, just like everything else. I like to take the candle right before the breakout candle, and I'll slap an anchored VWAP on there. And I want to see this moving up and preferably breaking it. Once it breaks out of that range, I'm feeling pretty good, honestly, on a lot of these trades. If I see that coming out, that means you have all the momentum with you then at that point. So it's just something you can use to guide you. Another thing, like say you miss this trade, which just happens all the time, and this is probably like the way this is kind of shaping up. This you're probably going to get a second shot at this. When you see this anchored VWAP comes out and it's above the range, I feel really confident with taking a retest on those types of trades. So if it comes back down and retests this 48.61, and we have that anchored VWAP from the candle prior to the breakout that still broke out, that's usually a good signal that you can feel pretty confident on taking a retest trade, which works the same way as our breakout trades. Stops will still be in the same spot. Targets would still be in the same spot. You're just entering a little bit later. And you see we got this top, kind of a topping pattern starting to happen on here on the hourly. So it wouldn't be shocking at all if this kind of rolls back a little bit and retests this area where it broke out before it heads back up. Especially with a big round number like 50, that's going to be a tough one to get through. So a lot of times it'll like to consolidate before, if it's going to break that, it's going to like to consolidate before it gets to those big levels. If it goes right there, like straight up moonshotting it right to 50, it's going to reject from there almost 90% of the time, I'd say, or more. So definitely not out of the realm that this is going to come back and retest. It probably will. So there might be a second chance if anybody's actually looking for a trade. This might be something that you could actually take yourself, tonight or tomorrow. Again, past performance is not indicative of future results, so trade at your own risk. But this is probably definitely something that's setting up. So keep an eye on it. It's a good way that we can do this. The reason that I'm using ETFs for this, see, I'm using the XLK, XLF, XLVs. Reason I'm doing that is it takes away a little bit of that overnight risk that you have with swing trading. That's one of the big cons of swing trading. When we did the time frames presentation, that was something I talked about a little bit. Using these ETFs, it's a basket of stocks that are within those sectors. That'll sort of head off some of that a little bit. So if like there's one company that has something crazy happen, like say they do a stock offering or something like that, that'll shoot this price down on that stock, on that one individual stock, but it's not going to crush this entire ETF. So you get a little bit of protection there from the overnight risk somewhat. Granted, if we start a war with Iran here soon or something crazy like that, all bets are off. But for the time being, in the stuff that's going on right now, general news, these will protect you a little bit more than say that we just traded like a Nvidia or something like that. We could do the same setups with this. Obviously, we could go to our daily levels. We could find double tops that we like right here would probably have been a great one. Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but you look for those little things that we're looking for, each and every day that we're on here talking about this stuff. Set your zone. But you're very, very subject then to company risk and overnight risk to each one of those products. So that's why I personally, if I'm going to do some swing trading, it's probably going to be on the ETS, just because I'm kind of a wimp with the overnight risk. I like to sleep at night. So, so that's why I prefer those ones. I think didn't you have one question for me before we dive into the actual levels for the day? I think there was a question.
Yeah, so simple question that was asked, which I thought was a great question. When did you realize like, whoa, trading is a real thing and I can absolutely make money at it?
Sure. When I made more money at trading than my actual job. That's serious too. That's when I was like, okay. And I mean, the other thing, I religiously tracked all my trades. I think I've mentioned before, I'm kind of a dork with this stuff, and I love doing the back testing. And like even this, like I'm not a swing trader, but this weekend I sat around and I back tested my entire day trading strategy on swing trading levels just to see if it would work. It does. So mm-hmm. I like to test this stuff out, and I recorded it all, and I could see what the win percentages were, what the loss percentages were, what my expectations were. So I mathematically knew that it was viable. I knew that there was a way that that I consistently do this, for a longer term than, maybe just a month or two. So, but yeah, the big indicator though is that I was making more money doing this than working for somebody. So, that was kind of my nail in the coffin, I guess, of being a wage worker. I don't know if that's a great answer for people or not, but
were you nervous?
Oh my God, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's funny because, well, for me anyways, and I'm kind of going through that like real right now, right? Like pinching myself hold up, is this real? Like maybe it is this simple. I don't know, but also having the thoughts in my mind like maybe this won't last. I don't know, what does this last? Because been putting in work, right? So it's not like this is just some overnight thing. No, it's not. Been putting in work.
No, you've been doing this for six years, I want to say, somewhere around there. Like you've been grinding
right. So don't want it to seem like, oh yeah, no, but at the same time, once you get to a place of like, oh, this works. So I think some people have different struggles than others. For me, once I became disciplined and knew my risk reward, that's when it really turned for me. I don't know about for other people, but the discipline and the risk reward, because I would take trades with no risk reward, not knowing going into it, like, okay, this is 2-1, right? It's like, no, I know this should win, but not really balancing that out. And then it's like, okay, you got to have a strategy when it comes to that, because if you don't and you lose, right? Because you could lose, you could be 50%, but if all your trades are like 1 to 0.75, right? Like
you could be 95%, but if you're only taking like a tick and losing like 10 ticks, you're not gonna be profitable. So
right. So I think once getting to that stage for me, and I guess now seeing the money each day kind of started to add up as well.
yeah, and you're developing a consistent process that's repeatable too. You know what I mean? And you know that process inside and out. That's the big thing. You got to be confident in what you're doing, really, and have a good repeatable process that you can consistently go to every day. You can stick with it. If you're bending and breaking your own rules, what good are the rules? You shouldn't even have any rules. Like, you know what I mean? You got to have some self-discipline in trading. It's tough. Like, I even caught myself last week. I wasn't on here last week. I had some stuff going on all week, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to get on here. But 2 times I had stuff going on during that day, and I caught myself at night trading during times that I don't normally trade. Guess what? I got hit because it's not in my rules. Like, I'm not supposed to trade during those times. I had it. They're written down in my rule book of the times that I'm supposed to be trading these products. I went outside of that, lost money. You know what I mean? Like, you can't deviate from the rules unless you're seeing something consistent that you can rewrite that rule and change it with. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing you got to do. So,
because one of my main rules was that I learned that I had to get over, because I felt like I was a boxer. You hit me, I had to hit you back. So
yes,
I got to hit you back, like, bing. Yep. So if I lose a trade, I literally, which I have my timer, and I have to take a 5-minute break. Even I don't care. Like, if I take a loss, I have to readjust. I have to give myself time to readjust before I take a trade. I don't care if a trade that I should have took is now coming up because I should have waited. I didn't wait. That's my fault. So now I penalize myself by saying you in 5-minute timeout, right? Gather yourself. You were stupid. Yeah. Yep. Good job, stupid. Now the trade is actually happening, and you got to sit here and watch it go.
Now you missed it. Yeah.
Right. So, but it was something that I had to do for the betterment of me, because in that process, I lose. Boom. Oh yeah, I'm taking a trade. Well, first off, you shouldn't have took that trade. You should have waited to this trade anyways, because that's what's in your plan, not the one that you took. Stupid. You're on the sideline. penalty. Here's your card. Sit out.
Red card.
You have to be that anal, to build that type of system, right? Some people
you really do. You're
gonna miss out on a trade, especially when typically my trades are 2, 3 to 1. So that loss I took in that next trade, I would be back in the green. But I don't want to build, the consistency of always doing that, right? Because I used to do it. Be like, oh, you hit me in the face. Oh, I got to hit you back. And now I'm in the trade, and now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, dude, you finna lose 2 trades because that was stupid.
Well, then you enter at a bad spot or something.
Right.
You're completely off your game then at that point.
Oh, yeah, you gotta close up shop.
Yep.
You gotta close up shop.
Yep, that's it. So it's you gotta have the rules that really 90% of trading is managing yourself. It's not even really managing the market. It's managing yourself from doing something stupid. So that your rules are like all set up to manage what you have to do around yourself to not do stupid shit. Like that's what the rules are there for, basically.
Right. Oh man.
All right. Let's look at some markets for the day. Our main ones here. Let's see what we got going on. So I have zoned these out as we were talking about yesterday, and I actually set up a little swing trade here. I didn't actually take this, but I was kind of just doing an example of what we would look at here. So once again, we have a zone. We're breaking out from that zone. We actually closed above that zone. So this would be a long trigger. And then for this one, we would basically be looking for around this 5,800 area. Longer term, though, let's have a look. What's really going on here? We have broke down from this consolidation area here. You see all these overlapping candles. This is our little bottom of it. We got our top up here. That is a consolidation zone, a major one that lasted months, right? So the odds are pretty damn good that we're going to go back up and retest this area, and that's what we're working towards right now. So this little purple zone, purple line here, odds are good. If you took this swing trade right here, you could probably get it up to around this area. You can be safe and take 57.90, but pretty good chance that we're going to test this 5,800 again. If we can continue on this bull run here, because that's our breakdown area, and that's where I'd be looking to honestly get short again. I don't know if the selling's over or not. It could be, but for now, the market's telling us it's in a downtrend, and so until the market tells me it's not in a downtrend, I'm going to pretend that it is in a downtrend. So when we're in a downtrend, we're selling the rips. Instead of buying the dips, we're selling the rips. So when this thing rips up, this will probably be the next area that I would be looking, to get short on a little bit of a longer term basis. Below, we had our failed breakout or failed breakdown right here. It's kind of hard to say that. So you can see it just went barely below it, 20 points. On a daily, it's not much, but so this would be our next spot that we'd be looking for a little bit of a downturn. And again, I set the zone the same way that I did on those earlier ones. I went into the hourly, and then I'll drag it back over so everybody can see all those overlapping candles. There's your zone. So if we broke down this lower level and you're looking for a swing trade, boom, you have your stop right here. It's going to be right around 55.60. That's where you'd be looking at for your stop. And then again, you'd look for your 2 to 1 to the downside. Or whatever you're comfortable with. And that's going to take you right down to around this 44.11. That's why I had that zone mark there. So if we did fall off, that's where it would probably be heading, or what I would be looking for as far as a target. And, it is right in one of our next zones then too. I would probably, if I had multiple contracts on, I'd probably peel some off like around 54.40 just before it hits that first zone, and then hold a little runner maybe for the rest there. Something along those lines is what I'd be looking at as far as a swing trade on the ES, a little bit longer term. Did you have anything longer term on the ES at all before we zoom in?
Definitely kind of in some of that same area, hoping that we go back and test some of that in the 54 area for sure. I don't know. But I mean, I have pretty much the same area as you have.
Okay.
Talked about it, last night, hoping that we kind of break down and test some of this 54, just because it'd just be a big move for me.
Yeah, and I honestly think that we're gonna need that. We're either gonna need to go up and test this consolidation, or we're gonna chop around here for a few days, and like bulls basically aren't gonna be able to get any traction, and that's when they would start selling again. It's gonna be one of those two scenarios, almost sure.
Yeah, I think we're gonna chop around a little bit, kind of lessen the range here a little bit, because we've been pretty rangy. Even still, I know it's not what it was, last week, previous week, but still considering it's a lot of movement still. So.
I mean, our 5-day average true range right now is 123.02, so that's super high.
It's great.
Hell, let's take it back. Like, what was it back? February 20th to 24. Our average true range was 52.27 at this point. So like you can see, like.
Yeah, it's getting huge.
Yeah, the ranges aren't normally this big. These are very, very big ranges. They're fun to trade, but they're big ranges. Let's zoom it in a little bit. Let's have a look at how we normally do. Let's look at our 2-hour first. I have not touched these charts at all since this morning, so you're gonna get the raw view here. So we had an overnight high. There was a good trade there. The breakout was a little fast for me, and I missed it. And then I was screwing around and I missed the retest too. So double miss for me.
Got the retest.
Double miss for me. Double F up. Cost myself some money there because that was an easy win too. So it's a shame. Yeah. But we'll take that level out for now. I had that little caution area there because I wanted an alert to pop up on my computer and let me know if it was getting towards this overnight low here. Obviously, our breakout zone at 56.75 is of interest. This will now be a retest area. Since we broke it pretty cleanly, we have a nice tail up here, so we can maybe see a little bit selling back into it. And then you get that second break would probably be nice, to be honest with you. And then we got a wee little gap up here that I wouldn't be shocked if we start heading towards that maybe tomorrow. That would be sort of close to our average true range of what we've been getting. On the downside, I like this level because we would have about 50 points to our next one, so it's viable. So let's turn this overnight low into an actual level that we want to trade. We will call this a 2-hour low. 30. At the time it was a 30 when I said it. So if we think that this 55,555 area might be interesting there on the downside, and then the big one would be this 55.09. Big one. On the upside, we obviously have the high from today that we need to mark. So let's mark that up. And, as far as 2-hour goes, there's nothing else striking my eye. Let's zoom it in a wee little bit and see if we missed anything on the 30. I don't think so. So I think these are probably my levels for tomorrow. I don't know why I changed it back to red. That's stupid. There we go. Okay. So that's going to be a retest, and actually kind of just did it. So this might chop around tonight. So this level might not even be viable by tomorrow morning. But we'll see. We'll leave it on there for now. We'll see what happens with it. But you could actually tonight even buy this if you have your zone set, like I showed earlier. With the 1 hour, you could buy something on this if you really wanted to. Did you have anything else on ES that you wanted?
No,
you were looking at?
That's about it for me as well.
You can maybe make a little argument for this 56.37, maybe.
Yeah.
No, you don't have a ton of room to run there, but
I mean, yeah, I have it marked, but I don't know if I would personally take it.
We'll mark it as a caution zone. We'll put it as yellow, just so we're aware of it. But yeah, I don't think I would trade that. But that could be a little area of interest there too. So, all right, I know we both got to be out of here in about 10 minutes. So we'll keep this thing moving fast today. Let's have a look at the CL. Good old oil. What did we do today? So we tried to break this zone that I set last night. As you can see, we wicked above it just a little bit. And then we came right back down into it. So there was nothing triggered on this one yet. Even if we went down to an hourly, I don't think we even got an out. So like what I would be looking for in these swing trades is look for like an hourly close above that. And then you're pretty safe to give it a shot, I think. This one almost rejected instantly last night when I was watching it. It came up above, went right back down below then at that point. But we've now broke one. We've had a 2 test. 3, we're normally through. 1, 2, 3, we're through. That's what I usually say that to myself as I'm doing this stuff. We could make an argument to maybe lower this zone a little bit since we came in a little bit lower there. So for your stop, maybe we could look at something around the 67.23-ish area. If you're going to try to play that breakout, and you got plenty of room up there to 70, that's probably going to be our next spot that we'd be looking at. Let's get that out. Let's see if there's anything else. On the downside, we got triple bottom essentially. 1, 2, 3 there. If we can get through, we're going to start working down in these lower levels there. Don't know. I have no clue what's going to happen on it. We'll just let the market tell us what's going to happen on it. We're not going to guess on this one. We're still in that big choppy consolidation zone that I've been talking about for the entire time we've been doing this. I mean, it's a mess. This chart's a mess. There's nothing clean with it. So don't get greedy on oil. It could go either way at any point on any day. So take your little quick hitters, base hits on oil. Let's look inside a little bit inside the day. We'll go to our 2-hour first. I got this cautious level set. If it started to break, I was going to take this again if it broke again today, but it didn't. So it kind of puts us in a little pickle because now we came all the way up to 68.30. It doesn't give us a lot of room to the next level. Those white lines, I'll explain those someday. Those are what I'm setting for, like what I think the range on the day is going to be, and I use that using ATR and what the overnight highs and lows are. But we'll get that to another point. I'm just taking this off for now. I think for me, I'm going to take out this 68.22 on a day trading level. Again, for a swing trade, I think it's still viable, but for what I'm going to do tomorrow, I don't really want to mess with that too much. We'll zap those out. Make a little argument right here for downside 2-hour. Make it a little wider. This was again just something I wanted for an alert, but I do want to put a caution right here because we have these double wicks right at this point. So I think if we start to sell off, at the 67.25, this could probably be an area where we might catch a little bounce. Again, oil is a mess right now where it's at, so I'm not in love with it, but keep it as is. This 66 level, we'll hold on to that. There's a nice little ways down to the 65.23. Let's zoom into a 30. There is one actually that just perked out right away. If you wanted to get aggressive on the long side, which almost lines it back up with our zones from yesterday, you could make an argument maybe to play the 67.90, but again, you're going to have 68.18 and then that high from the other day of 68.20 that are kind of going to run into that. I don't love this, but I probably will not trade this, but I'll just put it on there just to make it yellow again. If you want to get aggressive tonight and you think the market's going to run up a little bit, that's not a horrible place to try along. And again, you could also look at the 68.18, if you really wanted to there as well. Anything that I missed that you're interested in?
I mean, keeping it totally honest, oil is just not sexy for me right now. I'm not really doing much. I mean, I have pretty much the same levels, but I may trade oil 3 times a week the way it's been kind of going lately. I'm kind of hands off now. One move did come back to test the area I talked about, and then would have gotten long. But which was 67.23 area.
Yeah.
Talked about that, and which
so that as you were talking, I know there's a little tiny gap there, which that's almost exactly what you're referencing. So that 67.21 would be the gap below there from Sunday night. So we little tiny one. So that's a great level actually to watch. You could play a retest. Yeah, you could play the retest on that, which that would have worked great today. Probably if you want to short it, there's these little tails right here. This is probably the safer zone to short it. The 67.11 area maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If you're probably looking for a downside. So we'll leave those on there for today. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning where those are at. See what happens with it overnight. We'll reset it when we come in tomorrow. All right, let's look at the gold.
My boo.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, this is a beautiful uptrend that we're in. So again, I did the same thing. I actually set what I would do with the real zones on like a swing trade for these things. We're breaking out. I think we talked about it last week. We had this little consolidation zone that was happening. We did a fake breakdown here. We recovered it. And I think right about here was one of the last times I was on this podcast. And I was saying that I thought that we'd probably come back up and test the overnight or the all-time highs. And we did that and we broke it. So, we're starting that next leg up a little bit on gold. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. People talking about all kinds of crazy shit. So, people are getting a little worried. So gold is, obviously a popular product when that happens. So, we're seeing the breakout happen a little bit. This orange level here is based off of the Fibonacci level. I use those when I'm playing pure breakouts. So I think probably the next area where we get a little bit of headway will be around 3,050. Then we'll probably come back. I was hoping actually today we'd come back and retest this 29.76. That was the trade I was looking for all day on gold, but didn't get it. So maybe it'll happen tomorrow. We'll find out. Let's zoom it in just a touch here. Put it on the 2 hour.
Okay. Yeah, I let it come back to the lows of the 91 area, which I have a level of 29.88 there. So when it was holding, I took it. I said, yeah, I'm taking this, and ended up being a great winner there. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect trade there, really. This is the big one for me that I would love to get a shot at. But I don't know
that's the one.
That's the one I was looking for all day right here. This 29. It was a retest of the all-time high breakouts. Because look at this huge candle, man. We just powered above it. So I could see us chopping around a little bit here, losing the 88, and then coming down and testing around in this 29.70, 70-ish. We'll probably go a little bit below that, fake a few people out, and then take back to the upside. That would be what I would be looking for, and then I would be looking for the 29.88 as your actual target. Where support becomes resistance type thing. You know what I mean? That type of deal. So, and here is resistance. This one would be resistance becomes support. So, the big ones there. Let's go to the 30. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I doubt it, since we sort of just chopped a lot today. Yeah, there's nothing I really love. There you'd have no room on that. You could make a little argument. Dude, 3,000 though is like, when you're trading around those big whole numbers, it gets so choppy. You could maybe make an argument to do a short around here if we got back below this level. But that's not for me. So maybe for others. Anything that you have on there that I'm missing?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Go with that one.
All right, good deal. Well, I think we're at 5 o'clock today, so let's go ahead. We can wrap her up. I think we got some good levels on there. We showed some swing trading stuff. We'll follow up with our swing trades tomorrow that we were looking at to see how they're working, and then we can kind of make some comments on how if we would adjust anything, would we move something to break even, would we You know, what would we do in this situation? We'll kind of talk that through maybe tomorrow. What was that on the financials that we set that up on?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So now people can see as the trade set up and then how it actually.
Yeah. So it's on the we're going to do it on the financial sector. You know, this is just one trade, but trading is a series of trades, but we'll see what happens with it. And like I said, we'll comment on it. You know, if this thing comes back down, you could get actual retest if somebody wanted to play along with this one. Not the worst trade in the world, that's for sure. We got a little bit of a short squeeze happening now. And if you look at financials here, this earlier, but this was our last zone that we were in that we broke out from. So the odds are decent that we're going to try to work back up to this $50 mark. So that's what we're looking for, taking this short-term breakout. So we'll see what happens with it tomorrow. All right?
Sounds good. Take care.
All right. Yep. Bye, guys.